Do you like my new video angle? I like it. I was tired of looking like a disembodied head, but I still wanted the screen playing, so I think this is a pretty good angle. Yes, there's some glare because Homegirl does not have a green screen. And she doesn't plan on buying one because I don't want to. I have a giant television. Hey friends, it's me, the Ebony Otaku, the well-rounded nerd. It's October, which gives me all of the excuses in the world to review the horror movies that come out of Asia. I don't know what it is about that side of the world, but they do horror right. And I think the best way to kick off October is with one of my favorite horror movies out of Korea, and not just mine, but a lot of people's, Train to Busan. So I guess this is the part where I do the spoiler warning for a movie that came out in 2016. I feel old. Yeah. Anyway, self-reflection aside, Train to Busan is absolutely amazing. And seriously, if you have not watched it, it's 2 hours, well, just under 2 hours. Go give it a watch. It's a beautiful film. You're gonna love it. Go just right now, go watch the movie and then come back and we'll talk. So there's a lot of angles you can take when talking about Train to Busan. It has a lot of really great themes in it. Of course, we've got the themes of family, filial duty. We've got themes of ageism in there. We've got themes surrounding capitalism and, putting money before family. There's a lot you can attack here. But I'm going to go a little bit more of a personal route because this movie had me in my feels, especially the last 20 minutes. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to do my best not to completely spoil the ending, but I'm not making any promises right now. But the last few moments of this movie, especially if you have that close bond or have had that close bond with your father, right in the heart, it got me. So let's just dive right into it. No more delaying the point. So, Train to Busan is about our friend here, Suk-woo. He is a businessman, a stockbroker. He is living the dream. He is, everything you'd want in a provider. He's a good son. He materialistically and from a capitalist Western perspective, he's living the life. He's successful. He's had a couple of shady dealings in his business life, but movie's got a movie. There's got to be, some underlying something there. But he has a daughter, Sue On. Now, let me just pause here real quick. Child actors are real hit or miss. The girl they got playing this man, not him. Keep going. Him. The girl they got playing his daughter in here, oh my goodness, she is a little star. That girl can emote. She had me. Anyway, so Suk-woo is a father. He is a father. He is a husband to an estranged wife, and he lives in the city with his daughter, who apparently he has some kind of shared custody arrangement with the wife. And that's something that they never make 100% clear in the movie, is if Suk-woo and his wife are divorced or are they just separated. I never really understood that, and I know part of that is, the subtitling and translation and that type of thing. So that never fully came across to me. If you know, comments, but I don't know. But either way, husband and wife are not living together. They are living completely separate lives, and they've got some kind of joint custody arrangement with Sue On. The day that we start our story in Train to Busan happens to be Sue On's birthday. And of course, daddy be working late. And not only is it her birthday, let's just dig the feelings knife in a little bit deeper. It's her birthday, and she had a whole little performance at school where she practiced a song that she really wanted her father to hear her sing. It's a dumb little song, and everything little kids do is dumb, but it doesn't matter. They practiced, and they did it for you, and they want you to hear them sing. Ugh. You can totally see the mess in my house behind me in the reflection of that TV. I don't care. Actually, my house isn't messy. That's just the chair I relax in. Anywho, so being a dad that works all the time and doesn't have all of the time for his family, it's kind of implied the reason his wife left and went back to her hometown of Busan was that he workaholic. He always be working. And if you always be working, I can't be seeing you. So there is a separation there. And the daughter, Suan, she wants to be more with her mother than her father because dad ain't there. He might be physically able to give her everything she could ever want or need, but he is so bad at dadding, like being the emotional presence, that he buys her a gift for her birthday that he's already bought her. It was a Nintendo Wii. How do you have so much money that you forgot that you bought a whole game system for your child? I want that kind of money. Like, I bought you a $400 gift that I totally forgot that I bought you. Here, I just dropped $1,000 on my kid and didn't even remember that I did it. But that kind of demonstrates, at least from Seok-woo's perspective, and I think a part of this is cultural as well, because I know in a lot of historical Eastern cultures, African, I can't really speak much to Latino culture because I don't know as much about it, the role of men was to provide. That is the ultimate of manhood. Women were taught to look for the man that works, who provides, who can give you the things that you need so that if you're going to be staying home taking care of the kids, at least your Macy's card is paid. That sounds very misogynistic and old fashioned, but we're just looking at context here. And a lot of cultures, even today, they teach their daughters, this is the kind of man you want to look for. You want to look for a man who is able to give you a good life. Love is secondary, even third-dairy. Because if he can give you a good life, even if he's out there cheating on you, who cares? Your Macy's card is paid. Like, there's a lot of that in many cultures. If you go back to some of the reviews I've done on different books and different authors out of the eastern part of the world, there are a lot of themes in there about love and marriage, what marriage is really for. Is it a place to fulfill that longing, that need to have a partner for life? Or is it an opportunity to better one's self and their family through marriage? There's a lot of opinions on that. I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm just giving you the background. All right, don't at me. You're going to at me. Someone already did. I had my first bad at comment, and I was like, oh, that's when you know you're starting to do something, when people got hate comments. That's actually not a good thing. Anyway, I digress. So he's in this working world where he is doing, honestly, what he was probably raised to do. Be a husband, be a provider, give your family everything they need. And when you're at work, by any means necessary, do the thing so that the money keeps flowing into the business, into the household. He's doing it. He's not, from his perspective, doing anything wrong. The problem is that kind of mindset looking at marriage when the partnership of husband and wife, and we're talking about cisgendered heterosexual relationships, when you're looking at that marriage relationship as only more of a business transaction and a fulfillment of duty, there's an emotional life component that is left out. And if that is neglected or abandoned, I think the mistake a lot of cultures have made historically in looking at marriage as just a means to an end instead of a lifelong commitment and partnership that should be built on trust and love and understanding of one another, you end up with people who are hollow and not satisfied with that partnership because they're not getting what they need emotionally. Yes, it's great that my Macy's card stayed paid, but when I had a bad day, you weren't there for me to talk to. When a relative passed away, you couldn't come to the funeral with me. When our child fell down and hurt themselves badly, you were nowhere around to comfort them. When I made you an amazing dinner and you called me and said you were going to be working late and I had to throw the whole thing out, you didn't see any of that. And I think that's what's happened in this marriage. Then along comes the zombie apocalypse and makes it where you have to start caring about people and making choices. So if you don't know, Train to Busan is a zombie movie, which I love a zombie movie. Never get tired of them. I don't care how cheesy they are. I don't care if it's a blockbuster, found footage, made in grandma's basement. I'm in it with the zombie movies. So this does take place during a zombie apocalypse in South Korea. And it is a cataclysmic event that brings father and daughter together. It's unfortunate that in modern society that it takes an event for people to come together. There can be family members that don't talk to each other for years for one reason or another, but let somebody they both care about die. All of a sudden they have time to talk to each other. So Soo-won is all kinds of mad at her dad. You bought me a gift I already have. You're never around. You didn't show up to my school play. Mommy's better than you. I want to go back to mommy. For my birthday, take me to see my mother. In fact, you know what? I'm a big girl. I'm going to just hop on said train to Busan. I'm going to hop on the train myself and just go. I'm an independent woman who don't need no man, even though I'm 10. So that's where she's at. And Seok-woo's mom, who happens to live with them in their fancy apartment in the city, says, take your daughter to see her mother. Maybe you can even repair this, but unplug from business life for 10 minutes and go do the dad thing. And that can be conflicting when you think you've been doing everything correctly, when you have fulfilled all of the obligations that society has put on you, yet it wasn't good enough. I actually empathize more with Seok-woo than anyone else in this movie because I get it. I actually come from a family whose both of my parents worked in childhood. And I understand that emotional need that children have with their parents. I'm very fortunate in that both of my parents stayed married until my father passed away some years ago. Both of them worked. They provided so well that my brother and I were able to go to private school for the first 10 years of our education. They did a really good job. And my father was a very busy man because he had a whole bunch of hustles to make that money for his family. But where he succeeded and Seok-woo fails is my dad always made time to talk to me. There weren't always materialistic things he could give me because we had enough money. Not all the money, but enough. And I do know there were times where our family was probably strapped for cash because when you're middle class and sending your kids to private school. And even at a young age, once I got into my preteen years and teen years, I started to understand more of that dynamic. And as I got older and realized, my father spent all of this time one-on-one talking to me, one-on-one educating me, that me and my mother were able to spend a lot of one-on-one time together. We did a lot of family things together, whether it was a road trip, a picnic, going to the 99-cent theater. Yes, that used to be a thing. Going to the 99-cent theater, going to the Blockbuster I just dated myself. Going to the Blockbuster, there's the first zombie, on the weekends. All of that. My family did good because where there were no material provisions, they had the emotions covered. But that's what the failure is here in this dad-daughter relationship and husband-wife relationship that we only hear about but don't really see. So Soo-won wants to go see her mother. So they're going to hop on said train to Busan and go. And when you know it, that's when the zombie apocalypse starts, because there's going to be some great tragedy that propels the plot forward. Plot gotta plot. Now, let's take a moment and talk about the zombies that are in Train to Busan. These 28 Day Later zombies, okay? These ain't your slow George Romero zombies. These ain't those zombies. These are the fast, pile up on one another, turn into ants like World War Z zombies. You don't want to be trapped on a train with them. But interestingly enough, it seems that these zombies are triggered by sight, because a lot of times the zombies are triggered by sounds. In most movies are triggered by sounds. You know, you kick a can, oh, they know you're there. These seem to be more triggered by being able to see you. And I know there's some kind of symbolism there, but I don't know what it is right now because it's, you know, a time of day where I'm not thinking that hard, and that's not my focus of this video. But these are very much focused on what they can see. And that might be a little bit of an allegory for the material world. If you take away the zombies' sight, you can actually get past them. You can sneak past them, much like a parent who's not paying much attention to their kid. If you aren't looking, they can sneak past you. They'll grow up without you realizing it. They'll be in high school, college, married off, having their own family. And you never saw it happening because you were focused on something else. Ooh, that got real deep for a second. Anywho, zombies are on the train now. He's not a zombie. He's just a homeless guy. There's a whole other level of subtext here because the way the infection, which no one knows how it started except some deer that got infected. There's always a catalyst event. It's irrelevant here. Well, mildly irrelevant. A young lady gets aboard the train, which you saw, who is fully infected, but she looks good and suburban and normal, and nobody checks her out. But the homeless guy gets hassled because he looks like there's a problem with him. But ain't nothing wrong with this man. He's actually one of the best people on the train. But he knows what's up. See, look, she's just wandering down the thing, but because she's little and cute, nobody cares. But she brings the infection on the train. Now, zombie movies got a zombie. There seem to be different rates of infection because, you know, it seems like the first person takes them forever to turn, and then all of a sudden everybody after that turns in 15 seconds until you get to the penultimate hero, and it takes them a long time to turn because we have to have dramatic denouement in the story. So all of that's coming. Now, this guy right here, he's pretty amazing. I'm going to call him Dad number 2 because there's a lot of names and I can't remember them all. So Dad number 2 that we meet on the train has a pregnant wife, and they are also on the train to Busan. He is the exact opposite of Seok-woo. You could even consider him the foil to Seok-woo in this story. His wife is pregnant with their first child. In Korea, it's the tradition that the father picks the name. So there is this running storyline of picking the name for their unborn baby. He's very caring and tender towards her. He's not a big, successful businessman, but he is a man that works hard and obviously loves his family. Loves his family, cares about them, would do anything to see his unborn child come into the world safely. And then you've got Seok-woo, who can't stop doing business when he's supposed to be on a train ride with his daughter to go see mom. Now, further into the movie, we encounter who Seok-woo could be. And we're going to call him Old Business Guy. Old Business Guy could be Seok-woo if he doesn't make a change. So the zombie outbreak, of course, gets into the train. That's kind of a given. And what makes it really interesting in this movie is this claustrophobic atmosphere of being trapped in a, you know, relatively small space. You know, trains are long, and if you've never done a train ride on a train like this, there he is, evil businessman. But if you've never been on a train like this, the cars, you can actually hop between them. There are dining cars, there are sleeping carriages, you know, and you can walk through them to get to what you need. There's first class, you know, second class, economy, and all of that, bathroom, corridors, and the rest of it. So the zombies start on one end of the train. They about to start. Look at her. She about to get her. She about to get her. Get her. I'm joking. The zombies start on one end of the train, and as people realize what's happening, they start closing off cars. And what's really sad about that is when they close them off, sometimes they're closing them off to survivors. Awesome dad guy. He wants to save everyone, as many people as he can, but especially his wife and unborn child. But he's not willing to sacrifice the lives of others to make that happen. He wants to save as many people as he can. Evil businessman, He'll kill everybody. There's teenagers on the train, there's kids on the train, elderly people. There are, of course, there's a pregnant woman on the train. He'll let all of them die to save his own skin. And initially, when the outbreak starts, kind of glad there's a glare now. It's blocking some of the gore. um, so when the outbreak initially starts, Sok-woo is only focused on saving himself and Suwon, and he is willing to sacrifice other people to that end. And this is the part where I don't want to get into spoiler territory, because you have Sok-woo in the middle. You have the ultimate good he could be in this amazing dad character, and you have the ultimate evil he could turn into, because that evil businessman does some pretty horrendous things in this movie. And I will spoil that he dies, and I'm very happy about it. But then something really awful happens right after that kind of takes away from the fact that he dies a little bit. But this man is willing to kill anybody to save himself. He actually takes an entire car full of people and turns them against the rest of the train that has survivors in it, convincing them that if they let even one survivor that's not in their little group in, then they're all going to die, which has a little bit of truth to it. But when you get to that point in the movie, you're just like, I want evil businessman to get bit and die. That's what I want to happen. And the movie becomes this journey of who is Sok-woo going to be, and what legacy is he going to leave this world through his daughter, because this catastrophic event is his last chance to build a connection and let this girl know, his daughter know, I truly do love you above everything in the world. And no matter what's going on, I am a father that you can rely on. And whether I'm here physically or not, everything I do is for you. Now, I'm really good at talking. I can talk for hours about topics that interest me, but I don't want to go too far into Train to Busan, because I do want you to watch it. It is a very poignant movie, and it's got zombies. And you know what I love about the zombies in this movie is they're not just props that the main characters are running from. A lot of times, in zombie media, especially in a lot of modern zombie media, the purpose of the zombies is really secondary. You know, they're almost a setting. Like, oh, the movie is set, somewhere in Europe, or, the movie, takes place in a castle, whatever it is. That's all it is to it. And in this case, the zombies themselves have some character to them, and there's a lot of social commentary that comes through in the relation of how the infection spreads, how South Korea is dealing with the infection, what government does to try to help its citizens, and all of that. All of that's in there, but that's not what I wanted to talk about today, because I think the ultimate message in this movie is about that relationship between parents and children. There does come a point when children get older, hopefully there comes a point when children get older, that they look back on their childhood and respect and appreciate the sacrifices their parents made. But the hard part about explaining that to children is there are no children out there that have experience being an adult. But all adults have experience being children, which puts it upon us who are adults to really care more about how we help children understand why the world works the way that it does. Because bills don't pay themselves, because, mortgages don't happen magically, rent doesn't pay itself, parents have to work. They just do. But what we can't let happen is forget that as parents, our children need more from us than just their material needs filled. I do a lot of work with kids in my personal life. I do a lot of volunteer work with children, and over and over and over again, I have seen it demonstrated that even in families that don't have much materially, if the parents are there emotionally, the children grow up much more stable and happy and well adjusted to the world. And it honestly doesn't take much to build that emotional connection and just let them know, hey, I do all of this for you and because of you. And eventually Seokwoo is able to demonstrate that to Suwon. So that brings this review to a close. Go watch Train to Busan. So this is the first of several horror Halloween themed reviews I'm going to do during the month of October because excuses to do such things. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget, once I get to 500 subscribers, across my 3 platforms, the IG, the Twitter, and the YouTube, I'll be doing a nerdy giveaway. I have lots of fun nerdy stuff to give away. So I am looking forward to when my little bitty channel gets to that point, however long it takes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.